Hello everybody, Joe here today, and today we're going to be doing another Joe's Lazy Tier List. Today we're going to be talking about the classes in Hell Let Loose, and their roles, loadout, and the effectiveness of each class. So let's get started. We're going to be talking about the anti-tank, so let's get started with the basics. Standard issue. The standard issue comes with, for each group respectively, the US gets the M1 bazooka. Germans get the Panzerschreck, and the Soviet Union, as standard, get the PTRS-41. Now, anti-tank standard is a very solid choice. If you're playing as the level 1s for both the Germans and the US, very, very solid choices. The rockets can either be used in an anti-tank role by damaging the vehicles, or in an anti-personnel role by aiming at small groups of enemies. The rockets you use do have some splash damage on them, so keep that in mind when you're using it. Be careful when you're with groups of friendlies, as you could accidentally clip cover and hurt your friendlies as well. Keep this in mind when you use it, otherwise you run a high risk of hurting yourself and your friendlies around you. Otherwise, you have a very good time. The Russians, however, their first standard issue only comes with the PTRS-41. There's a unique advantage with the PTRS-41 in that it is an anti-tank rifle. The rounds travel much slower than a normal rifle's bullet, however they hit like a freight train and are anti-tank. You can take out most tanks from the rear, but they do take some time. My recommendation for when you're dealing with enemy tanks as Russians is get in the rear, take out the engine or the tracks. You are not a rocket launcher. You are a guy with a gun. Aim for spots that would make sense. Go for tracks. Go for the engine. Knock out the components that you can, and then get the hell out. And heavier AT can deal with the rest. Or, if you feel confident and the turret isn't rotating on you, take it out as fast as you can. Heavy tanks are too dangerous for you to take out by yourself, as they will most likely engage you anyways. Even a solo heavy tank will be able to engage you in time to stop you from doing your thing. So, as a PTRS user, you need to exercise caution in your fights. Any other vehicle, though, it's usually about 2 or 3 shots with the PTRS can take it out, or kill the crew member that's inside that's manning it. So, for half-tracks and trucks and jeeps, very much just lead your target, hit it, and you'll do some good damage. Same goes for the other two guys. You still need to aim your rockets properly and go for the rear. Going for the rear will basically reduce the amount of rockets you need to use on the target by a lot, especially the heavies. Let's go with the anti-tank crew next. S tier. The anti-tank crew for each faction is correspondent to what they would normally have. For the British, they have the 57mm, aka the QF5. Core Pounder 5. Core Pounder. Anyways, the Germans get the gun crew Pack 40. The Pack 40 and the 57mm behave almost identically. Same with the ZIS-2 that the Russians get. There's no difference between any of these men. They all carry the same. However, if you are up against a gun crew, be wary of the United States gun crew, as they carry the M1 Garand. All factions carry the same amount of ammo as the gun crew, so they carry 12 extra clips on them. This might have changed at some point, but with those 12 extra clips, they can do some heavy damage. You need to be careful, especially against an M1 Garand. The Karnani AK is a good single shot and will knock you on your ass if getting hit once. The Garand can do this too, but at a better rate. The Mosin, I feel, is the same as the Kar. You just need to be a bit better, because I feel like the times for bolting is a little different between the two. But as long as you exercise caution, you should be fine. Next is the Ambusher. The Ambusher, I'm also putting up an S-Class. You might go, Joe, the Ambusher is just a diet engineer with the satchel. Why are you putting him there? Well, there's one big reason. The anti-tank ambusher class comes with 4 anti-tank mines compared to the standard 1 that the engineer gets. The Engineers 1 is helpful, but with 4 of them, you have a lot more chances to bring the pain to the enemy. And by using them in that correct role, you can do a lot of damage. I recommend using them in a sense that you know where the enemy is going to be coming from. Or, if you have recon players, have them scout out where tanks are, so that way you can get an idea of where they're coming from. AT mining a field isn't as helpful as AT mining a road, but if you know where the enemy's coming from, it's still helpful. Their main weapons are the M1A1, the MP40, and the PPSH, and I believe on the desert map of El Alamein, the British get the new M1928 Thompson submachine gun with 50-round drum mag. Now, there is an additional tank crew that's not listed here because this was designed for the Americans only, but the Russians get the Lend-Lease. Lend-Lease is different because it replaces the quote-unquote dog shit fucking equipment that the PTRS is. However, unlike the other two, the Lend-Lease variant comes with the PPSH. This makes the Lend-Lease anti-tank guy way stronger in your group than a normal anti-tank. Not only does he come with the rocket launcher, he has a very effective close-range engagement tool. Use this wisely, and you will see yourself through a lot of fights. Now, we're on to Assault. Assault differs in some regards, and not in some others. Standard issue. Standard issue for some factions is good, others not so much. In regards to this, B tier. You might go, well, he comes with the Thompson or the Gewehr or the PPSH, Joe. Why are you ranking him at a B tier? For that reason alone. By law of averages, the Thompson and PPSH, while are great carry weapons, the Germans' initial assault class is terrible. To such an extent that he actually measures up incredibly short to its other counterparts. Which makes me think, why was he built like this? Why give him the Gewehr 43? Which, wow, yes, it's a good counter pick if you're going against anybody with a bolt action. Basically, the Gewehr 43 is to the Americans' M1 Garand. However, since there's so many Garands, you need to be careful, because otherwise your Gewehr comes up short, and you'll end up feeling like a jackass. So, use him wisely, and you may see the day through. All assault classes come with a standard complement of 2 grenades, whether it be the Mark II grenades or the smoke grenades. You get 2 of them. Use them well, and you'll be fine. Next up, we have the Veteran. Now, the Veteran differs in 2 regards. The Americans get the M97 trench gun, turning the standard assault class from a mid to close range engagement to a heavy close range engagement tool and a devastating close range engagement tool. The Germans get an MP40 and the Russians get the PPSH 41 with drum mags. So you're going from stick to drum. Now you might say, Joe, how many mags do you get with the PPSH 41? You get 5 drum mags. That's a lot of ammo to be thrown down range. In this regard, the Veteran, solid A tier pick. And now it's actually the Americans that are coming up short. The Engineer's Sapper comes with an M97 trench gun, making him a very solid pick and a good choice all around if you want to get some things done. However, the difference in here lies in the fact that the M97 trench gun is a close-range engagement tool. It can do some damage at mid-range if you're lucky. However, the other 2 assault classes in Veteran will always come up ahead of you. Whether it be the MP40 or PPSH, they have better range over you. So it's usually better if you have the Veteran unlocked to just switch back to the standard issue. After all, the M97 is only good in close range engagement, so only pick this class if you know you're going to be fighting in towns like Carentan and such. If you don't know if you're fighting in a town, it's better to pick the Thompson anyways, because it gives you that versatile difference of range. Yes, the Thompson takes 2 or 3 shots to hit, but you're putting the rounds out at such an effective rate, it doesn't matter. Next, we have the Grenadier. Grenadier differs for each class in a different sense. This time, the Americans get the M1A1 Thompson again. I don't know why they lost it, but now the other 2 classes in the other teams have lost as well. The Germans go back to the Gewehr 43. The Russians go back to the SVT 40. However, the difference is their complement of grenades. The Americans get 6 hand grenades and 4 smoke grenades. The Germans, for some reason, only carry 6 hand grenades and 3 smoke, and for some odd reason, yet again, the Russians get 6 grenades and 3 smoke grenades. I don't know why the Americans get 1 extra grenade, but it is what it is. You take what you can get. So, for that, I give them a solid C tier. The downgrades to the Gewehr and SVT, while grenades are helpful, honestly, with there's some potential for a grenade glitch, it's honestly more of a downgrade than an upgrade. Yes, the smoke grenades can be helpful, but if you're at this level, you should know that there's better chances for smoke from friendlies than you yourself. Yes, it's great to have these smokes, but if Medic Corpsman has the same smoke amount, if not a little more, use these smart and smoke out enemy positions, and these would be worth it. But with the 6 grenades on all classes, you can knock out enemies just as effectively. We're now going over to the classes that have much better potential, and in some regards, are just better entirely. S tier, the Raider. So, why is the Raider so good? Let me tell you. The Raider for every class comes with a standard complement. The Americans get the M3 grease gun. The Germans, for some reason, get an STG-44, and the Russians get their PPSH with drums back. The difference in here is they now go back to having 1 grenade, 2 smokes, and a satchel charge for both the Americans and Germans. The Russians get something different for their grenade complement, but that will be explained in a minute. Going to their main weapon choice, the M3 grease gun sucks. It sucks. It just flat out sucks. Don't fucking use the grease gun. The grease gun has a slow fire rate to such a degree that a Kar 98K puts out 2 rounds at the same rate as you putting out 4. Now you might say, well, 4 rounds is pretty good. Yeah, it's okay. But those 4 rounds have a very bad habit of not actually knocking the guy down and killing them. So, really, you're kind of, oh, blood! However, the satchel charges make up for that in the sense that if you use satchel charges smart and you warn your teammates, you can blast out entire buildings of enemies, destroy defensive emplacements or tanks. It's a solid have. The Russians, however, are what bring this up to S tier. The Russians get 2 Molotov cocktails. Molotovs differ because they bring fire to the table. Lingering fire damage. So if you're dealing with a very pesky MG emplacement as the Russians, it's 1 fire bottle and that emplacement becomes useless for a minute. Or you're dealing with a tank. Throw some fire on that baby, and if I recall, it does some good damage on it. Just remember, be careful. Automatic rifleman. For the automatic rifleman, it's a bit of a crapshoot, if you ask me. So, for the first class tier, the Americans' automatic rifleman comes with the bar. The bar standard issue. The Germans get an STG. and the Russians come with the PPSH, the Pupashaw. Now, where am I going to put such a boy? Well, he's going into A tier. Now, he'd go to S tier, but the Americans' bar is actually what brings it down. The BAR comes with a very, very big issue. When firing from the hip and or from the scope, the ADSing, it will suck. The recoil kick you get with this thing is so egregious that you're basically having the recoil smash your eye socket every time you fire this damn thing. I don't know why they made it this bad, but it's that bad. But don't worry, it's totally all in good fun. And you get standard complement of 2 grenades, and that's it. You get your 2 grenades. Love it. The Rifle Veterans. The Rifle Veterans are a solid A tier pick. The difference here is you're exchanging your good old friend, the grenade, for smokes. Why are you exchanging your grenades for smokes? I guess it's because the game wants to say you're now a supportive role. However, the guns they give us make no goddamn fucking sense for this supportive role. The Americans get the Thompson, the Germans get the MP40, and the Russians get another PPSH with drum bag. The difference is, 2 groups get a fucking smoke grenade. Do you want to know what the goddamn Russians get for their veteran? They get Molotovs. So, while I gave the Raider the up due to it being the same issue of Flamer, I'm going to deduct points in the fact that now 2 classes have lost their entire fucking purpose in life of throwing grenades and were given smokes instead. Yes, these smokes can be very helpful in a pinch, but it's stupid to fucking lose them and keep the Russians having them. The things you give up to have a fucking PTRS. Also, the Germans get a 3rd class. They get the paratrooper. This comes with the FG-42. The FG-42 is a okay support weapon. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst. It's honestly a you can take it or leave it type weapon. Honestly, though, I'd just go back to Tier 1. The STG is a very great all-rounder. There's a reason it's called the grandfather of assault rifles. Now we have the Engineer. Don't worry, the Engineer is here. Let's go with the standard issue loadout. The standard issue for each group as follows. M1 Carbine for the Americans, the Kar 98 for the Germans, and the Mosin 9130 for the Russians. They come with no grenades, but they get landmines to complement that. They get 2 APs and 1 AP mine, respective to that group. Now, the Americans in this regard are A tier, but everything else is B tier. Let me tell you why the Americans have the A tier in the Engineer's standard issue. The M1 Carbine is a semi-automatic carbine rifle firing at 45 ACP caliber. It's a very effective weapon at dealing with the enemy. If you get headshots, this thing's a fucking monster. It'll knock down any enemy you see, and with a high mag capacity as well as that high fire rate, you're a monster if you can hit those headshots. Otherwise, it's a very reliable weapon. The other 2 groups just come with standard bolt actions, which make it less good. Oh, that's the field NG. Oopsies. Next up is the Sapper. The Sapper, you going up here. The Americans, like I said earlier, they get their M97 trench gun. Germans get the MP40, and the Russians get another Mosin Nagant. The Russians are the group bringing this one down. However, to make up for this, they get AP mines, complement of 2 smoke grenades per group, and a satchel charge. Like I said before, with the Raider, the satchel charge can be used to clear out defenses and vehicles. Just don't be stupid with them and do not run after a tank. Be smart, sneak up, be effective. Do all that, you're golden. Now, if I recall, the only group that gets a field engineer is the Americans. The difference between the field engineer and the normal engineer's build is now they have a grease gun, which is a slower fire rate than the M1 carbine, but it's automatic, so I guess some people would like that. And it takes the 2 grenades that it gets instead of some anti-tank mines. So, instead of an anti-tank mine and AP mines, you now have 2 smoke and 2 grenades. You still get to keep your wrench and hammer, and you get your torch. So, you're still an effective repair unit. Keep this in mind when you're using this class. You can still repair vehicles as an engineer or a field or the standard issue. Both classes come with a torch that can repair tanks. So if you see a tank taking damage and it's not in the immediate field of fire, repair it and get it back up in the fight. A dead tank is a useless tank. Next, let's go to support gunners. Support gunners for every class are... Oh, that's normal support. I was looking at gunner classes.
Fucking upsidize. Joe made a fucky wucky. God fucking damn it.
Alright, so, every class is as fucking follows, boys. Standard issue, fucking A-tier level material here. Now you might go, Joe, how is it A-level material? You have heavy hitters like the Browning M19 30 caliber machine gun, capable of putting out 600 rounds a minute, basically making it the best support weapon in the game. With 200 round belts, you're basically putting down enough fire to keep that fucking choke point locked down for the end of time. Let me fucking tell you, MG34, 800 rounds a minute, DP27, mobile, not as fast firing, less mag capacity than the fucking 34. Now, you might be going, Joe, you've just listed these great machine guns. What universe would they lose? By the way, they don't get grenades, but they do get pistols for the standards. I'll fucking tell you. Actually, I'll fucking tell you. The Americans get an M19A2 BAR with fire support. The Germans get what is called the Veteran. The Veteran brings the fucking pain. Instead of the little MG34, it's so cute. 800 rounds a minute. MG42, machine gewehr, 1200 rounds per minute of 7.62 Mauser ammunition, capable of killing an entire U-boat of enemies in not 1 second. It's truly a work of German engineering at its finest. Basically, the MG42 just makes itself the top of any fucking list. I can't even downgrade it because it's just that fucking good. Like, genuinely, if I try and place this any lower, people will be like, but what about the MG42? Like, I genuinely can't find a place to let it go lower. Otherwise, I'll be on the chopping block here. Medic standard issue. S tier. S tier. I'll tell you why. All the medics are S tier. You want to know, except the corpsmen, but you want to know why? So, the medics come with a standard complement. The American medic comes with an M1 carbine and 2 extra clips. That's not that much, but considering it's the M1 carbine, that's still capable of dealing some damage. The Germans and the Soviet Union come with the Mosin and the Kar 98Ks for their respective factions. They also come with pistols, 6 clips each, and their respective factions' handgun. They get 2 smoke grenades per group, and let me fucking tell you what they have. You wanna know what they fucking have? The morphine. As long as the blast is not separating limbs or dealing limb-separating damage, that guy can get picked back up and then bandaged. and they're back in the fight. You might think, Joe, why does that make this S tier? Having the fucking ability to revive any man that's on the ground back into a fight is a goddamn godsend of an ability. Having one gun on a target is great, but if you can pick up 3 other people, that's 3 more guns on a target that you're fighting. Never doubt the usefulness of a medic. And then you have Corman, who gets... Yeah, no. Corman sucks. So for each faction, they get 16 clips of their gun, respectively. Do not pick the Russian Corman because the Russian Corman sucks. Genuinely. He gets the Nagant M1895. Now you might go, Joe, what do the other groups get that make you so hating of the Russians? Well, the Germans get the Luger, still a solid choice, and the Colt, still solid choice. 16 mags. So what's the problem, Joe? What possible problem could you have with the Nagant? Other than it's a fucking 6-shot revolver that fires 6 rounds in the slowest form of man that's only rivaled by the British's revolver. Genuinely, the only revolver in this game that is slower is the British. And their faction's so badly broken they needed a fucking drum mag Thompson to make it better. A fucking drum mag Thompson to make them better. Anyway, they come with a standard complement of 4 smoke grenades this time, and they get medical supplies instead of syringes. Sorry, they get medical supplies along with their syringes and bandages. My bad. Fuck that one up. Don't fucking hang me from the rafters. I'm a good boy. Officer class. Well, let's see what the officers are packing, because I forget. Standard issue. You get the Thompson, the MP40, and the PPSH with sticky mags. The Americans, sadly, are not bringing as many mags for some reason to these fights. The American officer only carries 6 Thompson mags and 4 Colt mags. I don't know why they're carrying less than their German and Union counterparts, but they are. They get Mark II smoke. They get the Mark II grenade, the M18 smokes, bandages, and they all get their own binoculars and watch. The watch can be used to summon a garrison, and the binoculars are helpful in the sense that they can be used to spot anything. You see something out there in that field and you're not sure, hold those binoculars, middle click, and now you can mark them for your team and say, hey, eat that motherfucker. So, I will give the standard issue a solid A tier right there. Oh yeah, they can also build OPs. The OPs are the most important part of any gameplay. All officers carry this ability. OPs can make or break a push, use them wisely, and use them smart. They also come with the standard complement of grenades. 2 and 2. Next up is the Point Man. The Point Man is the guy that carries either the M1 carbine, we've already discussed that's a very good weapon. The Germans get a Gewehr 43, and the Russians get an SVT 40. For some reason, the Germans have gotten the short end of the stick on this baby, because instead of having 12 mags like the Americans and Russians, they only carry 10. Their pistol is 4 mags like everybody else, and they get the standard 2 and 2 complement for grenades. Everything else is the same, but that's really a curious thought. The Germans only getting 10 mags for the Gewehr 43, while the Russians get 12 for their SVT 40. Makes no sense to me, but I guess they want to make this game fair somehow. Well, let's throw fairness out the fucking window here as we hit the NCOs or Starshina for the Russians. The Americans get an M1 Garand. You might be going, Joe, Why do you think this is a little broken? It's an M1 Garand with 19 backup mags. I forgot to put the point man somewhere. He gets to go here, top of the A tree. Why is 19 mags broken, Joe? Simple. Because it fucking is. It's an annoyance unto God with 19 mags. You're more than a standard infantryman, if I can recall the count right. We'll get back to it once we hit the rifleman, but 19 fucking mags for an NCO is some bullshit. You also now have a complement of 3 and 3. 3 smoke, 3 frag. Everything else is the same, but 3 and 3 is pretty fucking good. The Germans obviously get their Kar 98K because it's an NCO. It's a rifleman now as an officer. 3 and 3, everything else is the same. They only get 13 fucking mags, though, so what the fuck is up with those goddamn Americans getting 19 of the fuckers? I get that the end block clips were small, but like, holy fuck, this guy's got like a backpack on him with all this shit. Maybe going, Joe, where do the Russians fit on this fucking spectrum? They, for some fucking reason, get a goddamn PPSH with drum mags. The fuck? I'm sorry, but if for some reason, you know, like, oh yeah, an M1 Garand, that's the standard gun. Oh, Kar 98K, that's just the standard rifleman's gun. Oh, what should we give the Russians? Maybe we should give them the Mosin. That's the standard gun. Nah, that'd be too basic and easy for them. We gotta give them a PPSH and a standard 2 and 2 for smokes and frags. The fuck? I don't know how to process this. They get to go right about here. The fuck? Goddamn Russians over here with their goddamn super special bullets. Alright. Standard issue rifleman. He's coming into battle with his big slunking Garand. Oh, never mind. Okay, so NCO carries the same amount of ammo for like everybody else, except for some reason the Russians NCO is just, for some odd fucking reason, carrying a goddamn fucking PPSH. I guess he's an NKVD officer. Anyway, M1 Garand, standard 2 and 2 complement. Well, standard 2 complement. He only carries the Mark II grenades, no smokes. They do, however, for every class, carry the small ammunition box. The Russians get the Mosin, and the Germans get a Kar 98K. On to the next guy. He's lesser than all these guys because they all have something good. The Sapper has things weighing it down. These guys all have something going for them. Now on to the Point Man, or the Stormtrooper, or the Grenadier. So, for the Point Man, he carries the M1 Carbine for the Americans, the Kar 98K for the Germans, and a Mosin Nagant for the Russians. The Germans get a pistol now for their guy, and they also get now, everyone carries a complement of 4 and 2. 4 frag, 2 smoke. Very helpful, very nice to have. They also come with, the Germans carry, and Russians come with an additional class. For the Germans, it's the Panzer Grenadier, who carries the completely wrong equipment technically, as he's coming into battle with a Gewehr 43, which is correct. I'll get to why it's incorrect in a second here, with 8 mags. He also carries a standard 2 for frags, and he also has the explosive ammo box. Now, Panzer Grenadiers typically had a way of combating enemy tanks, so where's the Panzerfaust? You get what I'm getting at? It's kind of missing something here. Kind of missing that little spark. But the flamer comes with 2 Molotovs, so they do come with at least a way to deal with some vehicles and tanks. It's not the greatest. Also, they come with the Mosin, so if anything, they'd kind of go like right here, maybe here. And finally, to round this all out, support. Support players are the unsung heroes at times of this game. Let's get started. Mind you, this list hasn't been updated since update 12, so let's get started. Standard issue Boyo. He comes with supplies. He comes with a Garand or car or Mosin. They're all the same. Standard issue. Right there. Now you might be going, Joe, why are you placing support above medics when medics, you said, are invaluable to a firefight and can bring people back from the dead as long as it's not a headshot, a dismembering blow, or some other godly force? Well, they have a unique ability called supplies. Supplies can be used by engineers to build up nodes. Nodes are useful in the sense that they can be used to supply the commander's abilities or keep, the battle going. I have seen battles get so bad that they actually run out of the ability to spawn because there's not enough basically uniforms in a sense. There's not enough infantry power. The next class is the ammo carrier. The ammo carrier class carries the M3 grease gun, MP40, and SVT40, respectively. The difference here is that now they carry the supply box, the ammo box, and the explosive ammo box this time. So they are now basically the gods amongst men that will literally give you anything you need. They go up here because the MG42 can lay down hellfire in an instant. It's that good. But having the ability to drop anything somebody needs, whether it be supply boxes, ammo boxes, explosive ammo boxes, having that alone is a god tier ability. Russian Flamer, it's the only support class at level 6, so it gets A tier by itself. It comes with Molotovs, and it comes with its own pistol? It's honestly not that good because it's the M38 variant of a Mosin, which, if I recall, it's the cut-off variant, so it's a smaller one. Now, let's get to the definitive S tier. The one, the only, Flammenwerfers! The Flamer and the Flammenwerfer. The Americans get the M2, the Germans get the Flammenwerfer. If I recall, the British get a... I forget what they get, but I know they get a flamethrower, okay? Cut me some slack, man. They come with their own pistols, and they get a smoke grenade. They also come with supplies, for some fucking reason. I think they got rid of that because I never see one of these fuckers dropping supplies because they're too busy dying because they're like, I'm a flamer, I can do what I want. I'm an independent flamer who don't need no man. But, they try their best. The flamethrower is very much you run up to an area, you hit that area with fire. If you see a Gary that just had a fresh flare of fire, like fresh spawn in, you just layer that on top like a nice cheese, and then you just get cooking. Wow. Magnifique. Anyway, this has been Joe's Lazy Tier List. I apologize for not making another Lazy Tier List for a while, but I figured, it's not nice to just make shovel content all the time. And I should make shovel content just to let people know I'm still here. And I'm still pushing out semi-shitty content. that only exists to piss people off.